Okay, so this morning we will be covering the Illinois WorkNet success story tool and how you can submit and search for customer and employer success stories from various different workforce development programs in Illinois. And so to provide an overview of what we'll be covering today, we'll cover the importance of success stories, different resources that are available to you, how to submit your customer success stories, and then at the end, we'll provide a Q&A session. And at any time during this webinar, please feel free to share any questions in the chat pod here in Zoom. So for success stories, why they're important, we will cover different aspects for customers and different programs. So for customers, it's important that they see what their peers are doing, what others are doing in Illinois, to see what kind of individuals who are going through similar situations and experiences who have now, received a credential or a job as a result of their training experience or program that they went through. And it shows how these other customers have succeeded in that program, and that it could inspire them to, enroll in that program or a similar one as well. And it provides credibility to the program. It provides an example of a success with that program. And so, going off of that, it's important for the programs because it gives them credibility as well as the organizations that are running them, and also gives them an example of kind of like a marketing tool that can be used for that program. And it gives others hope that a program can work for them too, whether they're a customer or perhaps another organization considering starting a similar program as well. And in these success stories, it can also highlight the aspects of the programs that work best. Additionally, when it comes time to annual reporting, the success stories that are in Illinois WorkNet are used in the workforce development annual reports. And every year, the stories that have been submitted and approved are reviewed by the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, and various stories are added to this report. So resources. So on the success story guide page that looks like this in the screenshot here, we have a number of resources available. So we have introductory text discussing the success story guide and its usefulness. And we also have a PowerPoint on that screen there that provides an overview of the tool as well. And there's those different sections here you can see for participants, employers, and service providers. And so for tips on writing a success story, put this over here. So rather than just saying that, one individual received a certification as a result of taking this program, we want, more details about that individual's experience. And so, in the success story, there's a section where you can provide a narrative of the story that demonstrates the positive change and discusses how that change benefited that customer, as well as the people of Illinois for the program, and how helpful it is. And so a good success story uses this kind of evidence to show the value of the program. And so when if you're writing a success story on the behalf of a customer or an employer, here are some of the questions to kind of ask yourself in writing the story to kind of help guide the story and its narrative. So where was the participant when they started the program? and what was their background or challenge? What services, programs, or activities was that individual involved in as they prepared for employment? What WIOA and other partners were included in the employment plan? What was the outcome of those services, programs, or activities? Did they earn any credentials? What did they learn or experience in the program? What positive changes occurred? And what are the details of the employment the participant received? And so in addition to those questions, we also have a guide, a partner guide for, the individual success story. And you can use this guide to, learn about what makes an effective success story, and conveying that for the customer, telling that success, doing any final touches that might be needed for the success story. What makes a good picture to include in success and for the story that's submitted, as well as step-by-step instructions on how to go about adding the customer story. And so similarly, we also have that for employers. You can use the guide for the same reasons, what makes a effective success story for the employer perspective, telling the employer's success, making final edits, using a good picture of the employer, and step-by-step instructions as well. And so submitting your customer success story on Illinois WorkNet, what you'll do is you'll go to illinoisworknet.com, and at the top of the page, you'll see that login icon that's outlined in the box there. Click that and log into your Illinois WorkNet account. And so from there, in the top left of the page, you'll see a menu box. So click that to open it up. And under the updates and help section, you will select success stories. And so under here, you can see the latest success stories that have been submitted and approved on Illinois WorkNet from various workforce development programs in the state. And you can search a few different ways for success stories. You can search by congressional district. There's a filter for that. There's also a filter for the different program types that are available for specific workforce development programs, and the program detail type. So the detail type, if it was a training or opportunity, and I should go back and say the program type could be, the WIOA Adult or WIOA Youth, Apprenticeship Illinois, Coursera, training opportunities, and so forth. And there's also additional filters that you can use to refine your search when searching for success stories. And so from that previous page that we were on success stories, you can select that box there, submit a success story. And so then that'll take you to the success story guide page, which looks like this here. And so participants can submit their success story here. Employers can as well in their respective sections, but service providers, under that section, you will log into your account and choose whether to submit a success story on behalf of a customer or a business that you've been working with in one of the programs. And if you're not already logged in, it will ask you to log into that page. To log into WorkNet, I should say. And so that next screen will show the customer story and the employer story, and for submitting on behalf of a customer, you'll select that search button there. And so then you can search for a customer that you've been working with by typing in their username, their Illinois WorkNet account username or their name in the search bar and search for that. And that'll generate a list of Illinois workNet users. And so, if there's multiple users, you can use, who may have the same or similar name. You can look at some of those other search criteria to determine which is the customer that you're working with, such as date of birth, email. And then once you have determined that individual, click the select button. And that'll take you to the success story entry form. And so you'll be directed to this entry page, and some of this information will auto-populate based on the information that's been provided for their WorkNet account, such as address, city, state, zip code, and so forth. And to auto-populate, and that's some of the participant info in that box above, but for any information to auto-populate in the story info, if that program's tied to the customer support center, you must select that program type first, the program that they're involved in. Then that will auto-populate some of the other information in that story info section, such as the service provider name, the address, and that location information. And so when the information does auto-populate, do be sure though to review it and make sure that that information is correct. And if any information is not correct, do send an email to info@illinoisworknet.com, and someone from our staff will follow up with you to ensure that that information is correct or is updated so that it can be correct. And then additionally, complete any blank fields that are not auto-populated, and any fields that have a red asterisk, those are required to be filled in so that the story can be submitted. So it's an overview of kind of a key here that shows some of the information that is required or will auto-populate and what will show publicly. So for the TAA, Trade Adjustment Assistance, and Dislocated Workers program types, you'll see that looking at the key in the bottom left-hand corner, if it has an asterisk, that information is required. If it has that tilde, that means that that information will auto-populate. And if it's underlined, that is the information that will show publicly. And so for participant info, the information that will show publicly would be first name, last name, program type, the service provider name, the zip code, and the program details. That would be for the participant and the story info. And then for the pre-participant information, none of this will show publicly. But for the post-participation information, the current pathway or industry will show publicly. Then covering some of the other programs we have with what will show publicly for WIOA Adult, WIOA Youth, and special programs such as CYEP. The first name and last name of the story of the participant will show publicly, as well as the program type, the service provider name, the zip code, current pathway and industry, and any program details. And so for some of these other fields, these other program types that we have for Apprenticeship Illinois, Incumbent Worker, DWG, Dislocated Worker, grants or laid off workers, just like before, the first name and last name of the participant will show publicly, as will for the story info, the program type, the service provider name, the zip code, and the current pathway industry, as well as the program details. And so Coursera, as you may know, is the free online training that's offered to residents in Illinois and job seekers who can, if they register for these courses by the end of October, they can complete them for free, but they must have those courses and their coursework completed by the end of the year, December 31st, because as of this webinar, when it rolls over to January 1st, they'll still have an account with Coursera, but they will have to pay to complete the coursework. And they can register for these free online training opportunities by creating an Illinois workNet account. And so we are, wanting to, we are soliciting success stories for Coursera and that effect that it's had on job seekers in Illinois. And so, like the previous program details, the information that would show publicly would be the participant's name, and then for the story info, the program type should be Illinois IT training on Coursera. The service provider name, zip code, current pathway and industry, and program details. So step 10. So for the narrative portion of the success story, after that information above has been filled in, you'll give your success story a title. And then in the body of the success story body, there's an editor there. It's for formatting or editing issues, what you see there is what you can get from an editing perspective, but you'll add the narrative to that part within the success story. And then you will, after reviewing that, you'll upload a photo of the customer as well. And so then at the bottom of the entry form, we have the terms of use agreement. So, please review that and make sure prior to submitting the story, make sure you have a signed copy of your customer's photo and story to keep it on file. Make sure you have their permission to use their photo before submitting the story. And so once all those fields have been filled out and you've reviewed the terms of use agreement, you'll check that box, accept agreement, and click Save Story. So to go over the approval process, after saving your customer success story, you will be directed to a preview of the story that you've submitted. And it will take up to 5 business days for your story to be reviewed and approved. And if there are any questions, you will be contacted via the submitter phone number or email that was provided. And so that concludes the demonstration portion of the Success Stories tool on Illinois workNet. Additionally, if you do have any questions, you can send an email to info@illinoisworknet.com. And as a reminder, for this week, we've had a series of webinars providing an overview of different tools available to our workforce partners on Illinois workNet. And on our workNet event calendar, you can register for upcoming events, including for this week. Tomorrow, we will also be discussing the embeddable widgets that workforce partners can provide and include on their website. This is available with Illinois workNet. And on Friday, we will also cover the Customer Support Center, which allows partner organizations and their staff to access saved customer work readiness information so that they can provide guidance to help customers reach their training and employment goals. And that concludes this webinar. So I want to thank you all. Again, this webinar was recorded and we will be uploading this to our YouTube channel. And so I want to Thank you all for joining, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks.